Hey there! Is today your first time here? Or maybe your first time in a while? If so, maybe you're wondering exactly who we are and what this church is all about. Well, we'd like you to know that we're a group of ordinary people who are on an amazing journey together, following Christ. Our guide is the Bible because it's the divinely inspired Word of God, and it will never take us in the wrong direction. Along the way, we hope you'll see that we are welcoming and spiritually passionate, and that getting to know you is a big deal to us. We know that the road is rough sometimes, but we'll work really hard to bring you practical and relevant messages to equip and encourage you through life's ups and downs. We want you to know that we care about this community, and we believe that it's our job to make it a better place. So, no matter who you are or where you've been, we're glad you're here with us today, and we hope that you'll join us on our journey, following Christ and living out His plan for us. So, welcome to church.
Well, good morning and welcome to Sunday School. My name is Ricky Pitts and I'll be teaching on behalf of True Deliverance Holiness Church, where Bishop Nolan T. Torbert is the pastor, founder, and overseer. And we're going to be talking about a lesson today that is important, I think, for every leader to read, and probably many leaders have already read and have experienced all the things and the different dynamics that took place in this lesson at some point in their lives. We're talking about leadership and how a leader has to take the lead, have a vision, sell the vision, get buy-in of the people, or at least the main right people, those that is needed to get the job done. And a leader's not going to always be an easy task. But in order to get something done, it's necessary for the leader to accept the negative things that come along with it, as well as the positive things that come along with it, and to understand that it's not going to always be easy. But it's going to be worth it in the end. A leader also has to know when to talk, when not to talk, has to know how to convey a message, and again, when to convey that message. A leader also has to be able to trust somebody to help them to get the job done and realize that they can't do it always by themselves. So it's a lot of moving pieces to being a leader. And we're going to see so many things in Nehemiah's life and those that were around him that we can identify with in the churches and church of today and the kingdom building process of today. And we'll learn a whole lot about that in our lesson today, which is the restoring builder. So here you got a case where he's not just a builder, but a restoring builder. He has to restore confidence or morale in the minds of the people that have been so put upon, that have been so disillusioned because of what had happened to them as a result, really, of their faithlessness in the past. He had to come in and not only rebuild the wall, but to rebuild the confidence of the people, the spirit of the people. And it was not an easy job to get done. So let's just jump right in. Nehemiah chapter 2, verses 11 through verse 20. And the first part of our lesson we're talking about is surveying the city, looking things over and just determining what needed to be done and how bad the situation had gotten. 11 and 12. So I came to Jerusalem and was there 3 days. And I rose up in the night, I and some few men with me, neither told I any man what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. Neither was there any beast with me, save the beast that I rode upon. Now, in looking at a little commentary on these two verses, Nehemiah, his trip was almost 1,100 miles of primitive travel. And because it was primitive travel, it took roughly 3 months to get there. And you imagine all that was going through his mind during that long journey of going down to Jerusalem. And when he got there, he saw the situation. And you couple this with the fact that not everybody that were with him or the city that he left from or going to, not everybody agreed with his mission. So Nehemiah only chose a few men, to go with it. And it's important that a leader understand that they can't take everybody along with them, because it's gonna be a drag on them. It's gonna pull them down, slow them up. Everybody that with you can't go with you. So initially he kept quiet about his intention to build the walls and to rebuild the gates of Jerusalem, and disclosing his plans too early could jeopardize the entire plan. And so Nehemiah at this time used the time down there that he was down there assessing the situation to gather some information. And his sense of timing, knowing what to say, knowing when to say it, knowing who to say it to, was what really made him a very effective leader. You know, sometimes people wonder why they can't get anything done, is because they tell it to too many too quick, or they tell it to the wrong people too quick, and the whole program is compromised or jeopardized because they talk to the wrong people at the wrong time. Look at verse number 13. And I went out by night by the gate of the valley, even before the Dragon Hill well, and to the Dung Port, and viewed the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and the gates thereof were consumed with fire. Then I went on to the gate of the fountain, and to the king's pool, but there was no place for the beast that was under me to pass. This was a pretty bad situation. Nehemiah's brother had already told him about how bad this place was before he got down there. As a matter of fact, I reread in Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 3, this is what his brother said. The remnant that are left of the captivity there is in the province, or in great affliction and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem also is broken down, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. But it was very disturbing, although his brother had already told him, for Nehemiah to get down and see it for himself. You know, you can always get that street committee. You know, street committee always got a way to bring something to get it out. But the street committee can't really tell it like it really is until you see it, until people see it for themselves. And when he got down to Jerusalem and he saw the walls torn down, when he saw the gates had been burned, when he saw all the rubbish all around the city, it was more than Nehemiah could really handle at that time, because he was a leader like Ezra that was committed to the cause, that had a burning desire that was placed in his heart by God to get a job done. And when the Lord placed something in your heart to get it done, you ain't going to be satisfied until you get it done. Verse 15 and 16. Then went I up in the night by the brook and viewed the wall, and turned back and entered by the gate of the valley. So I returned. And the rulers knew not whether I went or what I did. Neither had I as yet told it to the Jews, nor to the priests, nor to the nobles, nor to the rulers, nor to the rest that did the work. Now look at this now. He didn't tell the Jews, I guess I would say the populace. He didn't tell the priests, the people that were supposedly the men of God. He didn't tell the nobles. He didn't tell the rulers, nor the rest that did the work. Now, he was still moving in secrecy. And one night, Nehemiah retraced his path. He went back over and looked the whole thing over again, and going back to where he started at the gate of the valley. And in these initial planning stages, he used wisdom. He used wisdom in gathering enough information and studying his plans. He didn't just gather information, he studied his plans carefully. He wasn't moved with just emotions. Now, emotions are important, but it's important to have emotions and information. So it's not to go out there and do something just strictly out of emotions. And he asked for everybody's input. No, had he done that, he would have had all, I think you should do this. And he would have said, no, I think you shouldn't do this. Somebody was going to say, how in the world do you think we're going to get all this stuff done in this short period of time? You see, when the leader is led by God to get a job done, if he goes out or she goes out and surveys the entire congregation, what all y'all think we need to do? I mean, this is a pretty big project. This is a pretty big job that the Lord has called me to do. I have no doubts that the Lord called me to do it. I feel certain it's in my spirit. I'm not trying to tell you to do something that I just feel is a good idea. I think I'm certain the Lord called me to do this, but what do y'all think? Hold it. If the Lord is leading a leader to get something done, and they feel they got to survey the entire congregation, get everybody's input, everybody has an opinion. And many opinions are based and rooted on pessimism and just absolutely professional doubters and got PhDs in negativity. And if anybody tries to get a job done that God called them to do, and before moving forward, they surveyed the entire congregation, you don't even get out of bed. Don't leave the house. Don't go to Lowe's. Don't go to Home Depot. Don't go to no building. Just don't go sing in the choir. Don't try to get no job done. Okay, not a huge job that God put in your heart to do, because you ain't gonna do it trying to get the opinion of the entire laity. So this lesson is full of information that can help us to move forward in whatever it is the Lord has called any of us to do. Now, verse 17, then said I to them. Okay, now he's getting ready to kind of lay it out. Not as if they don't see it already, but he's about to lay it out in a way that, well, you can say something in a certain way when the Lord is in it. The people can hear it in a way that they've not heard it or seen it before. I go back to back during the civil rights movement. Everybody saw the situation, disparity. They saw the situation of racism at that time. They saw the situation of not having equal rights and equal pay, and they saw all of the conditions of the land. Many people had a voice and had an opinion and said something about it, but God put a voice, put a word, and gave a certain voice to Dr. Martin Luther King that nobody else has had at that time and has had since that time, that can move the heart of man and hearts of man and the hearts of a nation. He put something in that man's voice that penetrated our heart, our minds, our emotions, and galvanized not just one race of people, not just the black community, but it also touched a great portion of the white community, the Asian community to a certain degree, and the Jewish community to come and work behind the cause of justice and civil rights. Well, the Lord, I believe, had put something in the voice of Nehemiah that when the people heard it, they were moved with compassion and moved with action to get this job done. And when I read in verse 17, it says, "Then said I unto them, ye see the distress that we're in, how Jerusalem lied waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come, let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more a reproach." So now, that's not a whole lot of words, but they are words that are seasoned with belief, that are seasoned with passion and conviction. And people can see when it's all about you or when it's all about the job, the project. People can determine when we're trying to make a name for ourselves or trying to get something done that's for the kingdom. People know, and they can figure that stuff out. So we anytime we're about to make a move for the kingdom, okay, and it involves others helping us in that move, you better be sure that, not only sure, but very sure that we're doing what we do for the right reason, or it will come to naught. It will not stand the test of time. It cannot deal with the ridicule and again the pessimism and negativity and the doubt of the people and the process before the progress. They won't be able to deal with it. They can't stand the test of time. If it's not kingdom driven, it will eventually come to naught. So let's make sure that whatever we're doing for the Lord, we're doing it for the Lord and not to make a name for ourselves. So in verse 17, as I just said, he said, "Ye see the distress that we are in." Now I want to look at a little commentary here. This holy city, the site of the temple of God in its current state had become a joke, had become the laughing stock of the area, had become a reproach. And I want to read something in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 19 through 22. I'm going to read this in the New Life version. It says, "But if you turn away and leave my laws and my word, which I have given you, if you go and serve other gods and worship them, then I will take you from the land I have given you, and I will turn my eyes away from this house, which I have set apart for my name. I will make it so all the people speak of it in shame. Everyone will look with wonder at the house that was once honored. They will say, why has the Lord done this to this house and to this house, this land and to this house? Then they will say, it is because they turned away from the Lord, the God of their fathers, who brought them out of the land of Egypt. They have taken other gods and worshiped them and served them. So the Lord has brought all this terrible on them, all this trouble on them." You see, there are things that people of God can bring on themselves as a result of not listening, as a result of not taking anybody's advice. And as a result of that, there's going to be some consequences. And many times there are consequences that they are not able to deal with, and they alienate themselves from anybody and everybody that's trying to help them and lead them and guide them and give them the direction they need to go to the next level. So when people pass by and they saw the situation, they said, well, now I see what happened. They got away from what the Lord told them to do, and they started doing everything, a total contradiction, the complete opposite of what the Lord told them to do. So Nehemiah identified with those who were concerned with the dismal condition of Jerusalem. You see, when something is birthed in the heart of a leader, the Lord also has given birth to that same conviction to other people. And they can both identify with the job that needs to be done, which is why sometimes you see they get through it with seemingly impossible odds. It's just no way this is going to get done. I mean, why are we even having this conversation? Because look at these conditions. Look at how tall this mountain is. Look at how many people we need to bring out of this trouble. Just look at the situation. And if that leader don't have a real, almost white hot type burning emotion to get a job done that looks like there's impossible odds, he ain't gonna get it done. And if he can't identify with those that are around him that has the same or have a similar conviction, he ain't gonna get it done. It's important. You see, there were three things that were needed to determine how ancient cities were built. Number one, access to water. That was important during the ancient times when ancient cities were built. Number two, access to trade routes. And number three, defensibility, being able to defend themselves against the enemy. And a great city needed all three of these things. And without walls, the city was wide open to enemy attack. And rebuilding the wall and the gates of Jerusalem was going to help to rehabilitate the confidence of the people in Jerusalem. You see, a lot of folks don't think about this, but to get anything done, even spiritual work, requires confidence. And if a person does not believe, number one, in God, number two, in themselves, and have the confidence and courage to get the job done, they ain't gonna do it. Listen, in my Locha Polka colloquialism, they ain't gonna do it. Okay, it's gonna take confidence. It's gonna take an ability to almost step out on nothing and believe something is there. It's gonna take belief, because if there's no confidence, if it's dead, and you don't have someone that is a kind of leader that can rehabilitate, revive, breathe life back into, they're not gonna move an inch. You see, where we are right now in the body of Christ during a pandemic, and on another side, I shouldn't say the other side, but further up in this pandemic, leaders got a tough road to hoe. Pastors of congregations have a tough road to hoe, because now they got to reignite, reinvigorate. They got to rehabilitate, revive the people, and get them excited about attending again when they've been attending like we're doing right now online for almost over a year. It's a tough job. But with God's grace and God's help, with their conviction and their passion, pastors around the country can get it done. Can get them back online again, back online spiritually again. Can hardwire them and reconnect them again to the vision. Not the vision, not the vision, the vision of kingdom work and going forward. Verse 18, he's summoning the leaders. I'm going to read for the first part of verse 18. Then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me, as also the king's words that he had spoken unto me. When Nehemiah spoke of the hand of my God, which was good upon me, he gave the people spiritual reasons to believe. Now, we don't necessarily like to admit this, but everybody ain't gonna believe you just because of spiritual reasons, and they all ain't gonna believe you because of natural reasons. And so a good leader got to be able to communicate, a good spiritual kingdom leader. I'm not talking about corporate or in the world. That's a whole different subject. But those that are in the kingdom got to be able to communicate this thing to both audiences, because both are in the congregations. There are those that's going to believe it because the word said it, and because the leader said it, that's led by by the Lord. That's all they need. There are others that are logical and they need analytical, and they need to know the X's and O's, the profit and loss, the balance sheet. Why, how, and can we get this done based on the numbers? And we got to be able to communicate that to both audiences, particularly when you have probably a congregation where it is a small handful that's going to believe spiritually, but the majority are going to believe logically. So look at what he said. He gave them the spiritual reason to believe, and Nehemiah was able to provide evidence, first of all, that God's hand was at work on the people's behalf. In addition to that, King Artaxerxes, that he was a king's cupbearer, had given his full approval, including building material and including the help of other people, the manpower to get the job done. So he told them we got two things on our side. We got the Lord, which is number one, but everybody didn't realize it was the Lord that was number one, and the king, which many folks saw with their natural eyes as being evidence that we have the support of the government and the full municipalities behind us. We gonna get this thing done. But at the end of the day, it was the Lord of Lords and King of Kings that had everything in control. It was the Lord of Lords and King of Kings that gave Nehemiah favor with man. You see, many times folks don't realize that the reason why they've moved so quickly ain't because of your charisma. It's because the Lord gave you favor with man. And we want favor with God and favor with man. The second part of verse 18, and they said, let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands for the good work. The fact of God's powerful hand and was blessing, and the fact that God's powerful hand was directing did not, for the people, eliminate the need for the natural hands. There was something also that they had to do. And everybody plays a different part. You see, that's another thing, that when trying to orchestrate a huge undertaking and be the one that directs that orchestra, everybody ain't gonna play the same instrument. You may want him to play the drum, but he can't play them. You may want her to play the flute, but she don't even know how to blow the flute. You may want her to play the organ or the keyboard or the lead or the bass or the cornet, but listen, they're not trained and skilled in that. But those that can, and the one plays this, the one plays that, the one plays that, it's going to be a beautiful band. It's the same thing in building. It's the same thing in getting anything done in the kingdom. Everybody can't do everything. It's like in my case, there are certain things Ricky just can't do. And y'all know what? Ricky ain't going to do it. There are certain things that you can't do, and you need to what? Stay where? In your lane. So what we looked at here, they looked for the hand of the Lord and also human hands, because they were also necessary to aid in the project of rebuilding the wall and restoring the wall and rebuilding that gate. And we're about to run out of time. And but when Sanballat the Horonite and Tobias the servant, the Ammonite, and Geshem the Arabian heard it, they laughed us to scorn and despised us and said, "What is this thing that ye do? Will ye rebel against the king?" You see, leaders sometimes they want spiritual consensus. You ain't gonna always get it, okay? We ain't gonna always get spiritual consensus with the majority. It's gonna be with the minority. But the minority in God is the majority. And that's all that's needed to get the job done. So folks are going to laugh. Sometimes they're going to tease. And I tell you one thing, class, if anybody in the class is aspiring to be a leader and you worried about people, laughing and teasing you, don't get out of bed. Okay? Don't even get out of bed. Okay? Anyway, so verse 20. Then answered I them and said unto them, the God of heaven, he will prosper us. Therefore we his servant would arise and build. But ye have no portion, nor right, nor memorial in Jerusalem. So Nehemiah told him, y'all ain't, listen, y'all ain't got nothing to do with this. Y'all ain't got no ties. Y'all ain't got the same drive that we have. Y'all ain't got nothing to do with it, okay? So surely you ain't going to understand it. Some folks say, I just don't understand. Well, you ain't going to understand because you ain't got no real ties. You ain't got no real conviction. You ain't got no history in this. So you can't understand. Everybody ain't going to understand what the Lord called you to do. And we out of time. Look, y'all have a great rest of the Sunday, and we'll see you. Hopefully those that will be attending today, we'll look forward to seeing you in church today, and we'll see everyone that attends in Sunday school next Sunday. Take care.